Let me start with something most gardening books never talk about. Across Pennsylvania, Ohio, and parts of Indiana, there are Amish farms that have been producing heavy crops on the same land for over 100 years. No synthetic fertilizer, no chemical boosters, no soil rebuilding programs. Just steady, reliable harvest generation after generation. During World War II, agricultural researchers quietly studied these farms because they needed ways to keep food production high without imported fertilizer. What they found was not a miracle product. It was a system, a way of treating soil as something alive, something that must be fed, protected, and renewed every season. If you have ever wondered why your garden seems to weaken over time, no matter how much compost you add, this video will explain exactly why. And more importantly, it will show you how the Amish avoided that trap for centuries. How Amish soil was built before chemicals existed. Before chemical fertilizers became widespread after the war, American farming looked very different. Most farms relied on animal manure, crop residues, wood ash, and careful rotations. The Amish never abandoned that system. They refined it. Their soil strategy begins with organic matter as the foundation. Every field is treated like a long-term investment. Manure from horses and cows is composted slowly, often mixed with straw and bedding, then spread in thin layers rather than heavy dumps. This prevents nutrient burn and encourages slow release. Along with manure, crop waste is never wasted. Corn stalks, wheat straw, bean vines and garden trimmings are chopped and returned to the soil. Over time, this builds deep layers of humus. That humus is what holds moisture, feeds microbes, and stores nutrients for years. During World War II, government agronomists noted that Amish soil contained far more living organisms than conventional farms. That biological activity was the real engine of fertility. Why living soil is the real secret. Most books ignore. Modern gardening books focus on products: bagged compost, liquid feeds, granular fertilizer. What they rarely explain is that healthy soil works like a living factory. Billions of bacteria, fungi, worms and microbes are constantly converting organic material into plant food. The Amish protect that system fiercely. They avoid deep mechanical tilling whenever possible. Shallow cultivation preserves fungal networks that transport nutrients across roots. These underground networks, known today as mycorrhizal systems, were present in Amish fields long before scientists named them. They also avoid leaving soil bare. Exposed soil loses life quickly. Wind, sun and rain strip away microbes. Amish fields are almost always covered, either with crops, mulch or cover plants. This keeps the biological engine running year-round. If you want to apply this at home, start by reducing how often you dig deeply. Use surface composting and light turning instead. Leave chopped leaves or straw on beds through winter. Let worms do the heavy work. How rotations and green manures prevent soil exhaustion. One of the strongest Amish practices is rotation. No single crop dominates year after year. Corn follows clover, potatoes follow beans, cabbage follows oats. Each plant contributes something different to the soil. Legumes like peas, beans and clover pull nitrogen from the air and store it in the ground. Deep-rooted plants like alfalfa break compacted layers and bring up minerals. Shallow crops protect surface life. During wartime rationing, this rotation system kept yields high without imported fertilizer. Fields were essentially self-renewing. You can copy this even in small gardens. Divide beds into sections. Rotate heavy feeders like tomatoes and corn with beans and peas. Follow root crops with leafy greens. Over 3 years, your soil structure will improve dramatically. You know, a lot of gardeners compost, but honestly, very few do it quite like the Amish. Their composting is slow, layered, and, well, really deliberate. Manure, straw, kitchen scraps, wood ash and field waste are stacked in alternating layers, just so. Moisture is carefully managed. Not too much, not too little. And the piles are only turned when truly needed. This slow process, well, it preserves beneficial microbes and prevents nutrient loss, which is something hot, fast composting tends to destroy. Amish compost is left to mature for anywhere from 6 months to even 2 years before it's used. At home, you can actually adapt this by building your own layered piles. Start with straw or leaves. Add your kitchen waste, then a bit of soil, and manure if you've got it. Keep things damp, but not wet. And then, honestly, just let time do the work. Another often overlooked secret is mineral balance. Amish farmers regularly apply crushed limestone, wood ash and rock dust to their fields. These, you see, replenish calcium, potassium, magnesium and trace elements that crops remove from the soil. Instead of, synthetic blends, they stick to slow, natural sources. This approach prevents nutrient spikes and long-term imbalances. If your soil becomes acidic or depleted, adding small amounts of lime, ash from untreated wood, or rock powder once every few years can restore balance naturally. Why did industrial agriculture replace this old system? Well, after the Second World War, fertilizer factories expanded rapidly. Cheap nitrogen just flooded the market, you see. Farmers were told they no longer needed rotations, compost or manure. Just apply chemicals and plant, they said. Yields rose for a short while. Then soils began collapsing. Organic matter declined, erosion increased, and dependency just grew. The Amish never adopted that model, you know. Their independence protected their soil. Garden books followed industry trends, and simple systems were replaced with product-driven advice. That, my friends, is why this knowledge faded from mainstream manuals. So, how can you build what some call never-depleting soil in, say, 5 practical steps? Start by feeding the soil, not the plants. Add organic matter every season. Protect your soil from exposure with mulch. Rotate crops faithfully and compost slowly and deeply. Supplement with natural minerals when needed. Here's a practical example. Take just one raised bed. In autumn, cover it with leaves and manure. In spring, plant peas. After harvest, plant squash. In autumn, mulch again. Repeat this for 3 years. You will notice darker soil, better moisture retention, and, honestly, stronger crops. Why does this knowledge matter for long-term survival? Well, in times of shortage, war or economic disruption, fertilizer disappears first. Soil remains. The Amish system produces food without dependency. That's why it survived every crisis of the last century. This isn't just nostalgia, it's resilience. If you build living soil now, you're investing in decades of security. So, just a few final thoughts and a call to action. These Amish methods aren't secrets. They were simply ignored in favor of convenience and profit. But they still work. They always have. If you value real history, practical knowledge and long-term self-reliance, this channel is for you. Subscribe, share this with fellow gardeners and history lovers, and help keep these proven systems alive for the next generation.